I'm Jay Marsh, on Instagram, Jay Marsh Art. And in the 3D world, Daz Studio, my published artist name is Martian, Marshian. That's my day job. I create 3D content, and I've been doing that since 2012. I basically live off of that now, and in my spare time, I'm still experimenting with artwork. I went to Ringling School of Art in Sarasota, Florida for illustration and photography. Got out of school, I went around with my portfolio. No one really connected with it too much. It was a lot of bizarre science fiction stuff. So I decided to go back into airbrushing following the fair circuit. Some of my airbrush jobs were only on the weekend, so I had all week to experiment with all my new abilities. I've gone through body painting, sculptural lighting. I did murals for a while. And eventually, following my parents' lead, I got into graphic design, and that sustained me until I learned about the 3D world. This has pretty much been true my whole life, but lately I've been saturating myself with certain imagery, and I've been following any idea that pops into my head. I've had a little trouble sleeping lately, and I lay in bed and I just make stuff in my mind. I generally take things pretty far in my head before I start painting. My background being in illustration, that makes me a planner with most of my art, getting all the details in order. I've really focused on some of the chaotic forms of nature, tornadoes, hurricanes, lava. When I really get saturated with that imagery, if I'm researching for a while, all of those images get internalized. Eventually, images start to come back out as doodles, or I get a flash of something in my mind that'll lead to sketching, and eventually a painting from that. Always been an artist. Even I remember in kindergarten, I'm sitting at the desk drawing, and all the kids are looking over my shoulder. So that's a very early memory for me, and that happened in high school too.
Like, did you always want to become an artist when you were older, or just?
It was really the only thing that I knew to do, and the only thing that I was really attracted to. I think part of what contributed to it, I did have a thyroid problem when I was younger, and that kept me inside more than going out and hanging out with people. So I actually think that helped my creativity and my artwork.
Stuff too.
Yeah. The 3D stuff, it wasn't my plan to make a living off of that. I was doing paintings when I met my wife. I was doing yoga paintings, and she would get into a pose for me. She couldn't hold the pose for 15 or 20 minutes long while I got all the cameras and all the lights right. So I started looking for digital figures that I could pose. And that was the beginning of my looking into the 3D world, was really just for reference for paintings. But I joined the 3D community. I started posting what I was experimenting with, and they offered the idea. They said, you could start selling this. So it turned into a business from there. And I love it. I love it. I thought at one point I might like to go into the movie industry, but this area of creation is totally wide open for me. I can basically create anything I want. Yeah. My most valuable class was color and design. From there, learning the basics of color, shape, line, and form, I feel like I could basically go, once I learned the tools, I could go into any creative industry. It might be landscape design or cake decorating. It might be anything. Learning those basics really was the biggest benefit. It definitely helped. For me, artwork has to have an aesthetic value. It has to be visually appealing. I think I like for people to look at my work and they enjoy it without needing an explanation. But with art school, I also really enjoyed being around all the other artists. And it was a great start being around those instructors. As far as starting a journey, it was a great place to do that, because your life is basically saturated with art education. I'm trying to get back to painting and experimenting like a kid would. I've seen very successful artwork from kids because they're unfiltered. You get all that emotion, but they're not thinking about what colors or what kind of shapes they're making. It's just wide open, unfiltered. And I hope I'm getting back to that place. And that's what I think successful artwork is you can connect with that emotion or the feeling that the artist had.